Hello, yeah, I'm James H. Longmore. The title of my short story is Carnal Harvest, and it was featured in Schlock Horror, which is an anthology by Hellbound Books from, I think, was it last year, 2 years ago? Yeah, I think it was 2 years ago now, wow. And I shall read a minute or so, just to whet the appetite, as it were. Okay, here we go. Tommy Rydell was still very much alive when his eyeballs were plucked from their sockets. Please, his voice, high and shrill, was soaked up by the verdant foliage of the dense woods that surrounded him, closing in on his terrified form like some dark, smothering, malevolent creature. The person sitting astride Tommy on the damp, mossy ground was heavy enough to render him entirely helpless, no matter how much the terrified boy wriggled and fought. His hands, trapped beneath his attacker's sharp, bony knees, felt numb beneath the weight, his trapped wrists feeling as if they could snap at any moment. I'll do anything you want, Tommy pleaded. Just please don't kill me. He stared at the face that hovered above him, into the cold, staring eyes that burned out from behind the dark grey ski mask. There was a glaring halo of sunlight around the featureless head, created by a persistent shaft of light that sneaked through the canopy high above, and in Tommy's frantic mind, he thought his assailant resembled some kind of evil angel. If his attacker wanted to do sexual stuff, that was quite all right with him. Hell, he was 13 and all bets were off as to where Tommy Rydell got his kicks. There was just no need for all the brutality and overriding promise of an untimely death. Tommy had been out stalking around the woods, a popular destination for the older kids who craved a little alone time, as he did most weekends. There was just something special about sunny Sunday afternoons that just screamed make-out time. Tommy would sneak around the concealing shade of the trees and overgrown shrubs, find himself a frisky couple of high schoolers, make himself comfortable and settle down to enjoy the show. Sometimes, if he was really lucky, the courting couple would get really carried away on the soft, leafy ground, get completely naked and go through all of the bases like they were going out of fashion. It was one heck of a way for Tommy to get his sex at. Obviously, I don't give away the twist at the end. It's a story. I actually first wrote the first version of this many years ago. Back, must be a long time ago. The basic premise is, I've always been fascinated by the idea of transplantation. I grew up in the early days of heart transplants, etc. And whilst it sort of fascinates me, it kind of terrifies me a little bit. And the idea popped into my head one day was, okay, you donate your organs, to help people, but what would happen if somebody wanted them back? I think I rattled off in a couple of days. I think I probably wrote the first draft in a day or so, and then maybe it took a day to edit it up and what have you. It was also edited by Brett McCormick, who put together the anthology, so it's pretty tidy, which is nice. But yeah, it was a fast one. The story was just there in my head, just itching to come out. To be successful, it has to be, for me, this is me speaking personally, it has to be pretty much a novel, but in, like you say, 500 to 5,000 words. It has to tell the story. It has to have a beginning, a middle, and end. It has to have characters you care about. It is an art form. A lot of writers, and me being one, when I started off in my writing career, think, writing short. We'll start off writing short stories. It's easy. I find it easier to actually write novels because you've got, 80, 90, 100, 120,000 words to go at. With a short story, you've got, your 4,000 or 5,000 words, maybe a little bit more to tell the whole story. There is an actual art to it. My first short stories were like 14,000, 15,000 words long, far too long. So yeah, it has to tell the story. It's not just a part of a story. I think that's the key of a good short story. A tip: just keep going. If you're starting out, just get your work out there. Even if you start out with the non-paying. My first accepted short story actually was it was not just non-pay. It was actually in a charity anthology, which for Greenpeace, funnily enough. Don't just turn your nose up because it's free or it's $5 or $10. The key is to get out there. This is a piece of advice I was given many years ago. Just get your name out there, get your stuff out there. Think about the pay. I mean, the pay markets, it's for short stories, it's $5, $10, $20, $25, maybe it's a little bit more if you're lucky. It's about gaining that recognition, building up your fan base, as it were. And, you start, as the publishers get to know you, then you can start sneaking into the paying market. So literally, long story short, it's just write and don't be put off. You'll get rejections. It's part of the job. Just keep sending those stories out. The very first one was called Winning and Losing, which was it was a charity anthology. The first paid one I got was with it was actually Black Bedsheet Books in an anthology based about travel and roads and what have you. I can't remember what it's called now, the anthology, but the story is called Road Trip Bingo. And I got paid, I think, $25 for that. Still one of my favourites. You can check it. It's actually in my short story collection, Blood and Kisses. So, but yeah, I think it was like $25 I got for that one. First horror movies. I grew up in England, obviously, you can tell by the accent. I was brought up on the old Hammer horror films. The old Christopher Lee's Dracula, Peter Cushing. I couldn't say specifically the first one. It would be one of those, probably a Christopher Lee Dracula movie, I guess. My favourite burger restaurant, Burger King. Oh, God. Do you know, it's been that long since I actually had a proper job. It's difficult to say. Co-workers, I always got on well with co-workers. I've had some managers who've been... who I've not got on well with, but nothing really sticks in my mind as horrifically memorable, to be honest. There's a great little Indian restaurant not far from my house called Cafe India, which does probably the best Indian food in Houston. That's my go-to for my birthday every year, absolutely every year. Can I give a shout out to Hellbound Books Publishing, to be found on www.hellboundbookspublishing.com.